Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome and thank you for tuning into a Women's Touch podcast, putting yours, minds, and everyone else's touch on women matters. Remember, we're a no-filter zone here. I'm your host, Adeze Ndejime, the editorial and marketing person for Intuition Magazine. We aim to relate, teach, and educate, enlighten, counsel, publicize, promote, and empower women. We are a magazine, so check us out at intuitionmagazine.com. Intuition is an all-women's magazine. Think of the magazine as informational mixed with some glam. We have seasonal magazine issues and online merchandise store, so check us out. Get ready for the magazine and take a look at this topic in our newest fall and winter issue. Follow all our socials at Intuition Magazine for video podcast highlights. Check out our TikTok at Intuition Magazine. For the full exclusive audio or video podcast, check our YouTube and Spotify at Intuition Magazine. Want to participate in our video or audio podcast? Check our Discord, link in the YouTube description, and the About section on Spotify. And check the Discord for scheduled events. For today's topic, it's a very trending and hot topic right now. I actually did an article on it, or wrote an article, and it is the Andrew Tate. You guys may know him, may not know him, but he is trending everywhere on other people's podcasts, and he's definitely known for a lot of different things. So we're going to touch on those issues and hopefully get some insight. Hopefully we get to learn some new things and make more conversations from it in the future and go from there. We're going to talk about things from women and men roles. We're going to talk about traditional roles versus the new roles. We're going to talk about women empowerment. We're also going to talk about alpha, what it means to be an alpha male or alpha female, and also talk about beta males and things of that nature and how that can impact dating in 2022. So before I get started, we do have some guests here that I would like to kind of get the introduction going. So if I can have one of the guests begin to introduce themselves and explain why the topic is important to them. So I'll hand over the floor.
Okay, I'll start. I'm Ray Lampkins. When I first heard the comments that Andrew Tate made, I thought it was a bonehead move, maybe a power move. So I wanted to join in on the podcast to give my 2 cents.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm Guadalupe. I just think Andrew Tate, he's a big influence right now, especially within like the young males at the moment. So I think it's very important to talk about him.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Can you guys kind of explain like your background, a little bit about you? That way our audience can kind of get a feel about where you guys are coming from.
Ray Lampkin. My background is, college football, marketing, uh, uh, magazine, books, music, you name it. Kind of an all-around guy. So, that's me.
Awesome.
I'm a recent graduate, have a communications. I graduated in communications. I like books too. I like reading, writing, going into like pop culture and everything.
Awesome. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to get into our first segment, which is called Q&A sesh. So we're going to talk about basically question and answers about the topic of Andrew Tate. So I'm going to just ask some questions and either one of you guys or both of you guys can chime in on an answer. Is anybody familiar with like Andrew Tate's like relationship status or marriage or dating history? And do you think he's fit to like advise people on dating and such?
I'm personally not aware, and based on his views, from what I've heard, I don't think he's very well versed in like educating people about relationship status.
Right. I don't think you should be telling people about relationships, but I do think that with what he said was basically a power move for his business. I mean, all advertising is good advertising, all publication is good publication, uh, especially since he got kicked off of a lot of the platforms. So now the way to alleviate getting kicked off the platforms is having everybody else talk about him. But as far as relationship goes, for the average person, I don't think he's good advice.
Hmm. Um, I also apparently saw like he's like a kickboxer. I know that Ray, you might be like into that sport of kickboxing. Do you know anything about his like actual boxing experience? Is he like any
Actually,
good?
he's really good.
He's really good. Okay.
He's a four-time world champion. The
Uh
guy is
huh.
really good. I mean, I looked into his background, and so he's a really good kickboxer. Uh, At first, when I heard that comment, I thought he took too many kicks to the head or something. But come to find out, he's a great champion. But I will say that he's scared of one guy, and this guy has been basically trying to, um, fight him, but no, he won't fight him. So, and I think his name
Oh.
is Jake Logan or something like that. So he's been running
Oh,
around,
okay. I
running
think
away
yeah.
from. So that masculinity thing is out the door. If he's a big masculinity guy, I mean, who's the alpha male
Hmm.
now?
Right. I feel like he just kind of picks and chooses battles at that point because he probably knows what
Exactly.
he can handle, what like who he can't handle. So okay,
Right. He
interesting.
don't want to mess up his brand, right?
Exactly. Which is, I mean,
Hmm.
that's his call. Um, so like out of all this craziness that he said, do you feel like do you think there is at least a good point he made or like at least something that like okay, I can understand that or I can see his side on this topic or is there something that he may have said or addressed where you may have like understood it or could be like okay, maybe this is a of a good place. Anything that he had said, do you think you can pick anything?
I feel like everything I've watched about him is very negative.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say no, but maybe I would have to look more into it, you know?
Okay.
Well, I took the opportunity and watching a couple of interviews. One of his interviews with Samuel Lead and also Dave uh, Portney. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, it was some really good stuff. I mean, he said some bonehead things about women, but he has a numerous amount of things that he's good for. Like I didn't know he had a university where he's teaching uh, kids, males. I mean, it's male and females, in between the ages of 18 and 23 about marketing themselves and making money. Some of the things that he talk about is, I think he's afraid of the government. He think the system is rigged. It almost sounds like another Donald Trump. He's
Hmm.
against the normal. He, he's I mean, not a bad guy as far as business is concerned because he has the yachts, the planes, and the money, and he's telling this age group of males in that beginning stage to invest in their self. And one of his fair things was that he talked about was he would be a salesperson because he loves to sell. Well, this is selling himself, and I think what he's doing is he's going to all the different podcasts, selling his self and building his brand, trying to get students, trying to get investors to really dig in. He wants to find out what his worth is and build it.
Hmm. 100%. Like you mentioned, he's like a marketing person, so he comes from that business side, that business tactic. So I think he very much is aware of like what he's capable of and what he can do, and it's almost like a superpower. Like it's something that he's learned, and he can like teach it to like other people, and whether that be for good or for bad. So that's something like
Right.
he's a business person, so I got to give it to him on that. Like he's smart and like he knows what he's doing, like in terms of like influencing others. So
Right.
um
Sometimes, it's just, well, I'm sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
Sometimes it's just a matter of, you know, I seen the old Muhammad Ali fights, and what he talks about is, hey, you want the people that there to come see you because they love you, but you also want the people to come and see you because they hate you, because it all results into ticket sales. So don't think for 1 minute that this guy is dumb. So he's trying to grab, his biggest market is males from 18 to 23. So now I think what he's trying to do is get the other side of that market by just disrupting, the natural order of femininity.
Mm-hmm. Where do you guys think like his views come from? Do you think it's like a childhood thing, like something he grew up seeing, or is it something he realized that like I need to push this agenda? Like, where do you think his views really stem from? Like, do you feel like he's just like trying to be funny and like chase clout, or does he really think like in this way of like alpha male kind of, you know?
Yeah, I think it could be multiple things, bad experiences, childhood. But after learning about like how his power moves and like his business and everything, I'm also questioning like whether like he's just like doing this like just for views.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just making these comments so people are talking about him and it's working. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
actually he talks about his father and his mother had separated. Then, going to school, walking to school, and uh, you know, seeing a Ferrari, and he said he was immediately upset about, why this guy got a Ferrari and he didn't. Here, this guy's driving a nice Ferrari down the street, and his mother can't afford, a car to walk to work. So it could stem from, I mean, not to get on a psychological part, from just not having things when he was growing up because he grew up poor. And so, and to see a Ferrari and want a Ferrari and then, the actions to go get it, I don't think it's anything in his past about his childhood. I think it's more of the drive to want to be able to fly on the planes and want to have the money. And, he talks about going out to restaurants, spending $15,000, and, a whole weekend could cost him 250,000. So, I think it's the money that drives them, and I think it's also understanding the business aspect of, hey, what drives the business, what drives the profit. Sometimes it's negativity, sometimes it's just saying the wrong things that come out your mouth.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I kind of like that. Like kind of coming from that like the struggle story, kind of like coming from
Right,
nothing and then building yourself up. Like I kind of find that you know commendable when people like want something and then they go out and seek it and actually do it for themselves. So like for that aspect of it, I can really like appreciate that part of like doing it on your own and like if you want something, do it. So he kind of has that spirit
right.
of like a go getter.
I appreciate it also, but what I can appreciate is him trying to talk to women in a downgrading manner. I mean, I learned from the best. I looked at, like I said, I am a boxing buff, and I learned from Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather. He was in that aspect too, where he had trouble with women and stuff like that, but he had to turn it around because now he was moving from boxer to promoter. And as being a promoter, you can't have those gaffes and those type of concepts. You actually have to be able to lure more people, uh, to your platform, to you, in order to, expand like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely, for sure. But getting on talking about women, there's these kind of, I call, like, there's traditional roles, like the old school way where it's like man of the house and you have like the women cooking and taking care of the kids. But I feel like in today's society we have women like really owning businesses and women empowerment, that whole movement of feminism, and really women like claiming their kind of feminism back, and like there's like the whole women empowerment role, like you guys are familiar with. But there's a lot of people, even some women, who like to stick to the whole traditional kind of movement, and then there's like the new movement. So like also with the traditional views, some people believe in like multiple wives and polygamy and things like that. So where do you guys stand on as far as like the movement of like female and males? Do you guys believe like traditional roles should be something we should still maintain and like value, because traditions are always going to be something that we can always hold back on because it's like that's just the way it is? Or do you feel like the new movement is something that we should push? And yeah, like what are your views on like those two aspects?
Well, I personally, I grew up in a very traditional home, and as a Hispanic Catholic, so we were extremely religious and traditional.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom, she always expected me to like clean after my brothers. I had three brothers, and I was the only girl. So she expected these traditional roles from me, where like my brothers would sit back and watch TV, where I would be like cleaning around the house, and she would be cooking for my dad, stuff like that. But I definitely grew out of that, and I do not expect that in my future. I want like more like an equality in my household where we're both contributing. I was gonna say, sorry, I blanked out, but I'll continue
Mm-hmm.
after it.
Yeah, that's okay. No, but to add on to
Yeah,
that, I am. Oh, sorry. I wanted to
go ahead.
say that I am also like, I grew up with the Catholic background, and my parents are Nigerian too. So like, I can totally understand what you're saying. Like, as
Hmm.
far as like, I mean, I didn't grow up with like any brothers, but like, my dad was very strict and like very stern, and like it's like me and my two sisters. So like, anything he said, it basically like it goes. Like we had to listen to
Yeah.
him, and like it was almost like our thoughts were like second. They're like kind of like we didn't really have a voice. So my dad was like,
Hmm.
if we're gonna do it like this, it's gonna be like that. So I definitely understand like where you're coming from.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
so
didn't
my
mean to cut you
household
off,
was a
Ray,
little
but
bit different.
oh.
Oh, no worries. My household was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom is a single mother. So she raised seven of us by herself. I actually had a weekend dad. My dad used to come over on the weekend, and then that was pretty much it until the next weekend. So I seen my mother literally work 6 or 7 days a week, catch a train and a bus. She'd leave out at 6 a.m. and wouldn't return home till 7 a.m. So, which instilled in me a great backbone for work. And then even in my household, I didn't want the traditional thing. I wanted somebody who was intelligent that can think on their own and have the drive and determination to get out there and show her worth or make her worth versus the everyday hustle and bustle. So I appreciate women to the fullest. I also had three sisters, so my sisters are incredible. Being the youngest of seven, they took care of me. In that fashion, it was kind of, traditional where the sister take care of the younger brothers and stuff. But as far as my mom and my wife is concerned, I seen my mother go out and get it, starting from a convenience store to a laundromat to then she was in the patent office. So moving us up from ghetto to middle class. So I know what women can do. So why degrade them or try to put them back in the kitchen? As Tate would say.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I feel like people who want stuff that's traditional, I think it's easier. Maybe it's just because that's just the way it was. So it's like, let's continue that. But I feel like when society is changing,
Hmm.
you, it's best to go with the change because that's the only way you'll seek improvement. And like, that's the only way like, we can run better in society. Cause it's like, when things are changing, you go with the change. Like, that's the way I see it. Cause if you're stuck in the past, then nothing's going to be improved. Nothing's going to be, we're not going to get anything done because you're just stuck trying to hold on to something that's like already dead. Maybe it worked 100 years ago and that's fine, but it's like we have technology now. We have all these different jobs that are coming up. We have robots and stuff. So it's like we gotta move with the times is like how I like to tell people. But with that being said,
Just to add to that,
there's the
okay.
alpha male. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to that, Andrew Tate actually he uh, he fights against being normal. He fights against the traditional education, the traditional following of the government. This guy, so I don't understand. It's like a contradiction. Women in the kitchen and so forth versus what he fights for as not being the normal and following the cycle of getting a job and working, till you're 60 and getting a pension and still end up broke. He actually wants to teach how how much more you're worth by going out there, discovering and not doing the normal things of the government and the cities. It's kind of funny.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, there's something called, I don't know if you guys heard of the term beta males, because I know you guys heard of alpha males, right? They're like the overly dominant. And now there's like beta males. So basically, guys are like, well, if I can't be an alpha male, like, should I be a beta male? And basically, beta males, they're like men who are not manly and like they're just kind of like submissive to the women. So, do you guys feel like if they're not going to be alpha, should they just be like automatically submissive? Is that like attractive? How do you guys feel about the whole beta male thing? Like, do you think that's something that should be an option, or should men be in between?
Go ahead, Guadalupe. You handle
I
that.
feel like, oh, okay. I was just
Go
saying, like, I feel
ahead.
like there just should not be like a label, Like, why are we trying so hard to label these characteristics in men when they should just be able to be whoever they want to be? Like, okay, they can take on these feminine characteristics and it should not be frowned upon, and they can take on these masculine characteristics at like a certain level, like not going too far. But yeah, I think they should be steering away from labeling themselves so much.
Hmm. Okay.
Well, I'm an alpha male.
Oh my god,
Not for real.
that's funny.
Oh,
Not for real.
Oh gosh.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you have to when having a partner or wife or a girlfriend. I mean, you got to look at the best attributes of yourself and for your partner. If I'm good at washing dishes, does that mean that uh, my wife can't wash dishes? She can't go out there and work? Of course not. We have to share in those responsibilities. It doesn't make you less of a man. It probably make you stronger of a man to
Mm-hmm.
be able to be versatile, to be able to help your wife or your wife be able to help you in different aspects of of life. So alpha male or beta male, I think is all wrapped up into one. You're just a male, and then you choose to uh, take advantage and use the best ability of your wife and of yourself. But if you want to feel good, just like I said, I'm an alpha male.
Okay. No, I think I like that. You guys both agreed and were both said that like it's not about being this title or this title. It's just about being. the man that you are, and doing it in a way that's like not overly the top, and also kind of like taking on roles that you feel like you can take on, and then you discuss that with your partner or whatever the case that may be. It's not about like I'm just gonna be submissive the whole time, or I'm gonna be aggressive or dominant the whole time. So I kind of like that you guys saw it in that way, because I didn't see it that way. I was like, okay, it's always this or that, but I think that's a good insight. Um, so with this movement of like women empowerment, everyone's talking about, equal pay and talking about women's rights and things like that. But then what about the fellas? Like, have y'all heard of like men's rights? What do you guys think about like men's mental awareness? Because they have a men's mental awareness month, and a lot of people kind of like focus on women a lot. That like men are seen as like the enemy, then it's like men kind of have like their own thing going on. So they have like men's rights movements. They have like Boy Scouts. There's like male biases in prisons. There's always, people are always saying like boys shouldn't cry. So there's like a whole mental thing that guys go through. So a lot of people kind of laugh and be like, well, men don't have rights because they're not the ones struggling. So what are you guys' thoughts on like men's rights? If that makes sense.
Well, it's definitely important to like acknowledge, like, for example, like men's mental health and stuff, because yeah, they kind of grow up to think that, oh, like we can't express our emotions, right? I was just saying, so I definitely think it's important that we acknowledge the issues within men as well. Like, for example, like you said, like their emotional states, because they did grow up in an environment where they're very encouraged not to showcase their emotions and stuff like that. But I think it's interesting when they say, oh, like, what about men's rights and stuff, because it's like women's stuff is often like ridiculed to the point where we don't want to express it anymore, So I think it's kind of funny that they bring that up when most of the time, like, our issues aren't taken as seriously either. And I think it's important that we focus on women's issues because there's just so many that we need to resolve, And it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So you're not saying we should disregard men's like rights,
No,
but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
instead that like we need to focus on women too, but
Yes.
like the focus is like women, but like let's not forget about men as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that, Ray?
Uh, I mean, men's rights is men's right, women's rights are women's right. I think we should all just, have equal rights and treat each other fairly. Equal pay for women, and you can see how, women sports don't get as enough money or get paid enough for the same thing that they're doing uh, for men. I think it should be. I mean, the the pot is big enough for everybody to get some. I mean, with the way they cover, the shows and stuff like the sporting events, there's enough money to go around. So, don't hate on the women, and women don't hate on the men.
Like, I think like men are already like a lot of men are already at a high level, Like women are just trying to achieve that.
Mm-hmm. But they have advantages.
hmm I think they already
Yeah.
achieved
Mm-hmm.
it. I think they already achieved it because I mean they put in 100% just like the
Yes.
men. I have some nieces that play basketball, and I'm telling you, they can put it on some guys I know.
For sure. I think women are at disadvantages a lot of the time, so I think that's why the focus is on women. But like, that's not to say that like the other side isn't hurting too. So for sure, equality should be implemented as well. So now moving on, like I mentioned, I did write an article on like Andrew Tate, and then I was able to grab some like quotes he said. So I'm just gonna recite some things that he said, and I want you guys to take on it. The first quote, he goes, "But I said that if a woman is going out with a man, she belongs to that man. That's his woman. So she wants to do OnlyFans. She owes him some money because she's his." So I don't know if you guys heard of OnlyFans, but he's basically saying that like if my partner or my girlfriend is doing an OnlyFans, like I'm like I have a right to her money as well too. So what are you guys' thoughts on like that kind of mindset?
You can go, Ray.
It's rhetorical. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because he sits there and says, I heard that interview where he's telling, the father gives the daughter away, the woman takes on the man's last name and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just to me, it's just a ploy to get women engaged in his shenanigans so that he increases brand, increases viewership, he'll increase his students. Just like he made those statements, and he's on every platform. He's been kicked off of the platforms, but now other people are picking it up because stuff like that fly out of his mouth, and so instead of him being on the platform using his popularity, now there's other people trying to take advantage of his popularity by having him on their show. So you know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the woman owes anything to him. Like, it's like she can decide if she wants to share her earnings and stuff like that, but it's ultimately on her decision, you know.
Definitely. I was gonna say, like he wants to create like shock value. Like he's just gonna say anything to like to get people like, why would he say that?
To react, yeah.
Because people are gonna react to things that are like unusual, and he's saying very like unusual things. So yeah, it's very much like, I mean, he's doing a good job at it, but yeah,
Right, and it's happening.
yeah, it's definitely very shocking.
Right, it's actually happening because everybody's talking about it, and everybody's appalled at what came out of his mouth. So,
I don't know
it's
if he's saying
working.
that because he mentioned like girls doing OnlyFans. I don't know if he's just like demeaning the job and being like, well, if she's doing OnlyFans, I'm just gonna take her money. But it's like, doesn't matter what kind of job it is, like you should respect it because it's her way of making her money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then another thing he said, he goes, it doesn't matter if a man slept with 20 girls or 200 girls, he is still the man. If a woman slept with 200 men, she is worth less. I thought this was pretty interesting. What are you guys' thoughts on that topic?
It's definitely a double standard for sure. I don't know. I don't know why, but when women sleep with multiple people in comparison to men, it's always frowned upon. And that's a huge discussion going on as well right now, And I think that's very hypocrite. Like you're being like a hypocrite, Like it's a double standard.
Yeah, I mean, every woman, there's somebody out there that would treasure you if you've been with one man or
Yes.
multiple men. Sooner or later you'll find a fit, and and that person is going to love you. Maybe he just haven't had love yet. Maybe he's still scraping the bottom of the barrel, and girls are using him. And maybe he's not well endowed, or maybe he has a shortcoming,
And that's
or
his excuse.
Yeah. Do you feel like because he's trying to say like
yeah,
women who like
exactly.
think highly of themselves shouldn't sleep with a lot of men because if they're sleeping with more men, like it makes them if they're sleeping with more men, it makes them less sought after. Do you feel like women are precious, like they shouldn't sleep with a lot of men? Do you think that's what he's trying to say? Or does it matter like what's deemed valuable if you sleep with more men or not? Like, is he trying to say if you're valuable, you would hold yourself? How do you guys feel if like that was the case? Because he's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to say like,
I think he's just off. Tell you the truth.
you,
Well, the old stigma is, you've been with a lot of men, you know, uh, what they call you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to say it, but and and it's vice versa too, because men can be uh, you know uh,
Mm-hmm. There you go.
promiscuous, right? So we can go after a lot of women, but it's not equal when women go after another man. I mean, everybody has a sexuality and a sexual appetite. So, just because men have it's put to the forefront and saying we have a big appetite, but it could just be on women too. It don't have a face or anything like that. So I think he's wrong about it because, like I said, every woman out there, there's somebody that love them for who they are, whether they is physical or intellectual. Because you see, I've seen some big guys with little women and big women with little guys. So it's the opposite attract. Is all different strokes for different folks. So why barrel down on that you know
Mm-hmm.
appetite.
Yeah, I think I like that look on it because it's like everybody, we're all human at the end of the day. Like we're just, if we like someone, we like somebody, and what we do is up to our discretion. So
Mm-hmm.
to base it on that, like to kind of value us as
Right.
you know as that is like not fair. Well, understood. Well, I was listening to some of his podcasts, and apparently he's like in Romania with like a bunch of bodyguards. So he's like hiding from people right now because people are trying to confront him. So I thought that was funny. He's like, getting all this backlash, so he's just like hiding somewhere in the world. But we're gonna move on to our next segment. It's called Unpopular Opinions. So basically, we're gonna be watching some of his content. They're gonna be a little bit bizarre, have some shock value to it, but that's the whole point. We're gonna watch a clip and then basically get some reactions out of it, and you guys let me know what you guys think. So the first video or little clip we're gonna watch is not actually Andrew Tate, but it's a similar podcast. It's called Fresh and Fit. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Andrew Tate, I don't know if he was actually on the show, but this guy, his name is Sneeko, and he kind of thinks similar to Andrew Tate. So I want you guys' opinion on it.
I want to go back to what you said. So you said that our body counts are growing because of opportunities, or you think we're doing it because we want to be pleased sexually? Or
No, it's not
both?
because you want to be pleased sexually. It doesn't make you happy. Like when you go and you have to do the walk of shame in the morning, you're holding your boots, walking back, and you're still wearing that poor outfit from the night before. You don't feel good about yourself. You'd rather be with a guy who's making you feel secure, who's making you feel happy. But you've been encouraged by stuff like She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion to twerk in the club and do all this nonsense every day, and you think that is making you empowered, and you think you're a really, that's not what you want. You want to be with a good man. You want to have a good, happy relationship, but you're here in the club every night searching for something that's empty. You're chasing dopamine instead of your love.
Yeah. That wasn't Andrew Tate, but I would like to think it's Andrew Tate like that's something he would say. It's like an alpha male podcast. So, what are you guys' take on that statement that he said?
You want to go, Ray? You want to go?
I couldn't hear it,
Oh,
you know, but just on alpha male in general. I mean, most of the time, uh, it's just some insecurity in those guys. Why would if Andrew Tate think that women are weaker, that's some of the stuff that he said. They're weaker and they can't defend themselves. If he was 30,000 feet up in a plane and they were flying into a hurricane, he would prefer to be a man because a man won't get emotional. Those type of thinkings are just insecurities and within itself. With the alpha male thing, why can't both You know, I mean, there's an alpha male and an alpha woman. I mean, okay, you do things better than I do, so you take charge on that. I do things better than you do, so I'll take charge on that, and we come together, and that's a win-win situation versus this whole alpha male thing to me.
100%.
Well, in regards to that video, I think it's funny that he's trying to summarize what every woman wants to be. Like, not every woman wants that sense of security, and not every woman is going to want another significant other in their life, you know? And also, I don't know why he doesn't want women to have fun with themselves. I think, like, every action that we do, whether it be like astrology or like going out and dancing and stuff like that, it's always tied to like a negative perspective. We can't just enjoy ourselves in peace, you know?
Definitely. And I think when he was saying that, I feel like it just maybe insecure. I don't know if he just feels like he just needs to put someone else down, or like there's no point of like doing all that, because you're kind of generalizing how all women are, and like because there is that. So he mentioned like the music he listened to, like Megan Thee Stallion, how girls are always like trying to dance and stuff, and it's like there's that kind of music out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean like we're lost and we don't know what we're doing. It's like we know what we're doing, like we know what we want.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on to the next video. So,
Right, he's been influenced by the music,
heard
right?
some stuff on the radio and stuff.
He's been influenced by the music. So how strong could his mind be if he's been influenced by music, you know, to make him start to have that type of opinion about things, you know? So you got to have your own strong mind. And it could be passed from his father, you know. Maybe he grew up in that type of household and think that that's normal.
Definitely. So I'm going to move on to some Andrew Tate quotes.
Genuinely, right now, nothing is stopping me from becoming Batman.
When you put your headphones in and you're walking down the street listening to your music, you are a target.
Any of you watching this video, if you were in the same situation I was in, would be dead. I say with 1,000% confidence, I don't know any other mother who done what I did yesterday.
Let me explain something to you. Do you know whose fault it is that Taliban has reconquered Afghanistan? It's the fault of...
I always park in disabled bays. I'm not a bad person, but I'm a quick person. Most people are slow and stupid. I'm fast.
Sorry, I thought that was funny, but it wasn't really about women, but he has his mind on like politics and other things. So what do you guys think?
I think it's just a complete babble. You know, he's just shooting off at the mouth what sounds good, you know, making good sound bites. As you can see in the news, they always use sound bites, you know, and you cut them up, and next thing you know, you got a big roar out of people, kind of stir up some things just so you can get some notoriety or some notification or something. You know, a couple of clicks.
Exactly. Just marketing, business person. That's what it is. Okay. Move on to
guerrilla marketing.
If you're not going to have children, what are you going to do with your lives?
If I'm not going to have children, travel, just pursue anything that makes me happy, try to make money. I love traveling, so I would probably just
Drink cocktails on the beach. Okay, next.
About the same thing, like travel, focus on my career, things like that. Like my career will become my baby.
What about you?
I honestly just want to get right into my career.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
What do you want to do in life?
Right now, so I go to the University of Miami. I'm majoring in interactive media. What I want to do with that is build virtual reality simulators for the military. Then I'm also minoring in motion pictures. I'm interested in acting and shit.
Miss Cuba, what about you?
Do whatever the want.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Well, I plan on becoming a doctor. So I'm just, my career.
Your career.
I'm passionate about it, so.
A life without children is vapious. and it's inane and it's pointless. And you may sit here and think that your career matters, but the truth is that your job will fire you out of whim and don't give a second. Don't give a solitary shit. And when you're 52 and you're past it with no grandchildren in a house by yourself, and all your friends have grandchildren in this beautiful life, and you're sitting there by yourself, do you think the fact that you could afford a few extra Gucci bags is going to genuinely make you feel happy? I was at my grandmother's 93rd birthday. I looked there. My grandmother had 9 children, because there was my father and 8 more. They all had a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. I stood there and I looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a room, a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. Isn't that remarkable? That nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful. And if you sit here and genuinely think that you're going to work your ass off through your fertile years, and by the age of 54, you're not going to be suicidal alone with a cat, then you're dumb. The happiest women on earth have children and a man who's paying the bills and their mothers. The happiest people on earth. I guarantee it. Your mothers, ask your own mother, do you regret having me? She's going to say, of course not. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. So now you're going to sit here and you're going to end your own bloodline? All your ancestors were out there surrounded by saber-toothed tigers, trying to survive on the streets out there in caveman days just to get to the final end where we have all the medical care and you can live in a nice warm house for your no, I don't want kids. I'm too busy in the strip club or going to Mallorca to have a pina colada on the beach. It's absolutely insulting to your entire bloodline. Everything everyone above you has ever done and struggled for. All the times your grandparents went to work when they didn't feel like it, just for you to exist, for your selfish say, no, me and my passions and my dreams and my drawings and my Instagram page is worth more than ever having children. You're selfish. That you should all have kids.
Yeah. Wow, that's quite the rant, but yeah. Who wants to start on that one?
Yeah, it's just hogwash. You know, I think he gets a rise out of trying to interrogate women to make them feel inferior, you know, and like I mean, it's just all BS. I mean, you know, he's yelling, you know, at the top of his lungs, trying to make them feel useless because they don't want to have babies. I mean, times have changed, and he's going back to saber-tooth tigers or whatever. But you know, times have changed. You know, you can love yourself just as much as you can love a kid. You know, so if that's your what you want to do is focus on your career, then by all means, focus on your career. If you want to have 8 kids, then have 8 kids. You know, back in those days, sometimes, you know, we didn't have, you know, I guess when his grandmother was coming up, there wasn't that many contraceptives, you know, so maybe she gave birth to, you know, her kids because, you know, she didn't have a choice, you know, so now women have a choice. So, you know, that's life. He got to get off of those. I mean, it's just a ploy to get women riled up. I keep coming back to this, you know, building the brand and talking, you know, all this smack about women is to get you guys riled up so you can talk about them. You know,
exactly.
It's crazy.
He's just limiting women again to just like they're only capable of producing another baby, you know, like that's it. Like there's
okay, this video is just about a minute, so.
School's back in, teachers are upset, not because they have to pay for school supplies, which is a real issue, not because they're underpaid and overworked, which is a real issue, but because the Andrew Tate situation is getting out of pocket.
So I'm a teacher and I teach 6th grade. And within these 3 days, the amount of young 11-year-old boys that have told me that they love Andrew Tate is ridiculous. I had a boy today, 11, turn to a girl and tell her that she's fat. Women need to be thin. She sits at home and she eats all day. and that she's like every other girl in the world.
I just want to say, when the 11-year-old boy said she was fat, I thought to myself, that's normal bullying.
That's what 11-year-old boys do.
Let me play the rest of it.
That she uses men to get money. And at least he's a hardworking man and he works for his money.
At 11? Hardworking man. Okay, see, yeah, that's the concern.
Okay. So Andrew Tate has like a huge influence, as we mentioned, and even like little kids are saying stuff. So it's just really ridiculous at this point. But what are your guys' take on that segment, on that video?
I think he's definitely just reinforcing that toxic masculinity once again. And it's just going to keep continuing as a cycle, especially for people who are watching his videos. And I know we talked about like, oh, like maybe he's just doing this for views and stuff, but just think about like the effects that's going to leave on like these young men. It's really horrible, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually destroying our fiber for good men, you know. So with the things that he's saying, I'm kind of glad they took him off the platform, but we can't continue to talk about him and give him more success and more notoriety for the things that he says. So it's a good thing he's hiding out, because I think it's some parents that you know, like to wring his neck. But I know he's a good kickboxer. He's a 4-time champion. You know, he got a school. He got casinos. You know, all that type of stuff. So that's what I don't understand. Why would he say these things and the type of success that he had? And you know, if he wanted to make himself bigger and better and his company better, he could have just been a great businessman and teach these guys how to make the money that he's making, versus, you know, starting this controversy. You know, not only do it have the women up in the uproar, but it also have, you know, the young boys in the uproar. You know, so keep hiding out.
Exactly. I agree. Like, you're saying all these things, but like I don't know if it's just like a tactic of his or whatever the case is, but it's doing more harm than good. And like after a while, like it'd be nice for him to like maybe admit what he's doing and then go back into teaching young men, like, you know, how to make money or whatever the case may be. Like use his platform for good rather than to cause an uproar and like be like bizarre.
Yeah, hashtag too many kicks to the head.
Yeah.
For sure. Hashtag CTE.
Well, I think we already wrapped. Oh, we're just gonna start wrapping it up. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on and staying with us. I know it was kind of a little bit of hiccup here and there, but you guys were very patient, which I really would just like to thank you guys for being patient and being on here. So thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Stay up to date with us on all our socials, our Discord, and our website. This is a Designated Negime from Intuition Magazine. Hashtag a Women's Touch, and spread the hashtag, everyone. And bye. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.